Hi, I'm Joey.
And I'm Matt.
And we're here to teach you how to play your first game of Chaosmos. So in Chaosmos, players assume the roles of covert alien operatives on the desperate hunt for the Ovoid. The old universe is collapsing, and after each turn, you're going to click down this chaos clock one notch. When the chaos clock reaches 0, the game is over. Whoever possesses the Ovoid in their hand at the exact moment the universe collapses becomes the master of the new universe.
So on your turn, you get 3 actions that you can spend however you like. The first action choice is movement. For one action, you can move your character 1 space on the board. Planets are always 2 spaces away from each other, and you can't move across asteroid fields, but you can jump over the chaos clock, and if you're next to the wormhole, you can actually jump through the wormhole to the other side of the board. The next action is hyperspacing. Hyperspacing costs an action and 1 of your hyper tokens, but it lets you teleport anywhere you want on the entire board. You only get 3 hyper tokens for the whole game, so you want to make sure that you use them wisely. The third type of action is controlling a planet. When you land on a planet, you can spend an action to take that planet from the envelope box. You get to open it up, take all the cards that are inside, you can look at them, take any of them that you want into your hand, and leave other cards behind inside the planet. But you can only hold 7 cards at one time, so whenever you land on a new planet, you have to strategize and figure out which cards will help you find the Ovoid and which cards to leave behind for later.
Now, when you have a planet in front of you, that's called controlling the planet. And you can only control 1 planet at a time. And when you leave the planet, you're going to have to give up control of that planet. So one strategy that a lot of people employ is using traps and vaults. So these are called flip cards. And you can actually set up to 1 of these flip cards face up on a planet. So if I set a trap face up, and then when I leave that planet, the planet goes back, if Matt comes along and lands on that planet, and he opens up that envelope, he's going to get trapped. And then the trap would be discarded, and now the planet is unprotected, but now Matt loses his turn, is banished home. Now a vault works kind of the same way, but it's not a single-use card. If I secretly set up a vault on that planet, nobody, including myself, can open it unless we reveal a key. So if I reveal a key, I can turn that vault face down, and I can pick it up like any other card and move it or set it up somewhere else. But if that vault is face up, I can look inside and see the cards, since it's a magnetic vault, but I can't take any cards without flipping that vault face down using a key. Now, another action that you can do is if you're in the same location as another player, you can spend an action to attack them. So once you announce an attack, you would both roll these dice, and if you've got a mirror, it actually mirrors the other number that you roll. If you roll 2 mirrors, well, that forms infinity and you would win instantly. And then you would add modifier cards. So a combat card would have this red symbol in the upper left. That means it's a combat card. And you can only play combat cards in combat, and you can't take any other actions until the combat action is complete. You would roll the dice, and you're going to compare the totals. Those are your initial combat scores. You'll add modifier cards from your hand. You don't want to play all the cards you have at once, because other players at the table will see what cards you have and they can combat those strategies later. So you just kind of want to bid for the win, and whoever has the most combat points, once both players pass and decide not to play any more cards, is the winner. And if you tie, then you just walk away and you choose not to do anything else if nobody's going to play more cards. If I beat you in combat, I get to look in your hand and take a card as spoils. So look, he's got the Ovoid, so I would secretly take the Ovoid. And if I'm over my hand limit, I'd have to give him one of my cards. Or instead of taking spoils, I could actually just banish him to any planet I want. And if he's on a planet and controls it at the time when I beat him in combat, after I take spoils, if I choose, I can take control of that envelope, or instead return it to the box. And the other action that you can take is actually kind of a free action. It's called trading to the cosmic pool, and it can only be accomplished when you're on your home planet. You can actually trade up to 1 card to the cosmic pool for a card in your hand. I can only do it once per turn, but it's a free action. I could keep going, or I could use that action to control Pendra. So those are basically the primary actions that you can do in your turn. Some cards cost an action as well, and there's a little A symbol in the upper left of the card. But other than that, that's the actions that you can play on your turn.
And one other thing that you'll want to pay attention to in Chaosmos is your alien abilities. So each player is playing as a different alien, and you have unique powers. For instance, the Haghuin, she can travel home to her home planet for one action at any time and doesn't have to spend an action to take control of her home planet. So each alien has a home planet, which is their color, and they also have a toxic planet. So when you go to your alien's toxic planet, you can't take control of the planet or attack anybody else who's on that planet unless you have your environment gear.
Yes, you'd have to reveal the environment gear. And you don't place the environment gear in front of yourself, you actually just reveal it and then it goes right back to your hand.
So for instance, Vroon needs the respiration worm to be able to go to Kafav, which is his toxic planet, and you'll notice that the planet actually has a green colored ring around it, which means when he lands on Kafav, he can't attack Gazme, who's also there, and he can't take control of the planet envelope.
The only other thing I wanted to mention, Matt, is the Temporal Displacer. So, as you know, you have to have the Ovoid at the exact moment that the game is over, right there when the universe collapses. But there's actually, the Temporal Displacer is a card that you can actually play, and it costs an action if you're using it during the game. If it would end the game, it's actually free to play. So you can actually speed the clock forward up to 8 turns to either give yourself the last turn or even hopefully end the game early if you have the Ovoid in your possession. So once the clock gets to kind of the red zone here, you got to be wary because the game could potentially end at any time.
Yep. So those are all the actions and alien information on Chaosmos. Now you know how to play your first game.
Have an awesome time. Email us if you have any questions, mirrorboxgames@gmail.com. Thanks a lot.